I'm very happy that you, yes. I'm very happy that you made it today. Thank you so much.
I'm barely here. Yeah.
I know. It's our birth story, so that's I was like, it's so weird for me to do it alone because it's like the other half, the other parental half.
Yeah, the perspective, the less important perspective.
No, I would never, no. It's literally 50-50.
It is definitely not 50-50.
It is not.
Well,
My contribution was simple and easy.
oh. Yeah.
I honestly, I can't stand when people say
We're pregnant?
We're pregnant.
I love that.
Okay, well, there's two sides of it. Like, one side of it is it's laudable in that it's like, I'm in it with you. But then the other side is like, you're kind of taking way more credit than you deserve, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but I think I read an article somewhere where like, they were like men who were simulating giving birth as part of like being part of the experience, and like unless you're gonna push a watermelon out of your anus, like you're not simulating a damn thing.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Claude & Co. On today's episode, we will be discussing our birth stories, right?
Yep.
The birth stories of Jet Marie and Beau Harper Alexander. So Jared and I, we were very intentional about getting pregnant. We were getting married in May, and I think we started trying like in April, I believe. We were actually, we got pregnant in June, which was kind of funny because I know that we had a surprise wedding, and I think people thought that we were pregnant, and I think that's why we had a surprise wedding. And I think we had to tell like, some family members, no, we weren't pregnant during the wedding. Yeah, and that wasn't the reason for the surprise wedding.
Right.
Because then all of a sudden I'm pregnant.
You can't throw that kind of surprise wedding in like 30 days after finding out you're pregnant.
Exactly.
So no, that was not the case.
Yeah.
I think that we just knew that we wanted to have kids right away. Yeah. And we also understood the reality that people don't get pregnant as soon as they start trying. Yes. So we said, let's start trying a little bit in advance of the wedding and see what happens. We didn't expect to get pregnant right away.
No.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Here
we were
I
very
am
blessed.
using the we didn't expect to get pregnant, the we thing.
I appreciate it. No, I love that. But we got pregnant in June, and it was, I was shocked, surprised, and happy all at the same time. We actually, the way we found out that we were pregnant was kind of comical, and also I was a little annoyed the way I found out. So Jared and I, we had moved, after we got married, we moved from Spanish Harlem, and because we lived in this really tiny apartment, and we were like, well, since we're starting a family, I thought let's get a bigger place. So then we moved to Long Island City, and we got a somewhat larger apartment.
Man, we thought we were balling. It was a
one bedroom apartment. Yeah.
One bedroung with the
view of the train tracks, and I thought we were like
it was
living.
Like
it was such
something
a good
like
time.
750 square feet. I was like, we done made it.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And so we decided to go out that night, not knowing that we were pregnant. And we had quite a few drinks.
Yeah. And quite a few drinks for her, like 3 drinks.
They were Sazeracs. They were like, it's bourbon. Yeah. And I came back and I was toasted. I was like, everything, like a little tipsy and feeling good. And when we came back home that night, we were still in boxes. And it's crazy because I saw a pregnancy test in a box that was inside of our bathroom. And it was about to expire in a week. So I thought, let me just use it. Like, let me just pee on the stick. And when I did, and it came up, like in 2 seconds, it was positive. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, I'm drunk and I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I came out of the bathroom. Do you remember? And I was just like, laugh because I had the giggles.
Right.
I was laughing and I was drunk and I'm holding this pregnancy stick. Guys, not recommend. I don't recommend that, but that's what happened. It's the truth of what happened.
Right.
And then I told you.
But you said you don't recommend drinking while you're pregnant? You didn't know.
I didn't know, but I was
Right.
like toasted.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that I don't recommend.
Right.
So I came out and we were so happy, and you were also. We were laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, we definitely had the giggles. And I was 31, going to be 32, and you were like 34, going to be 35. And we just thought, this is good.
This is good.
This is so
the timing
good.
was perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were very happy. The rest of the family was so happy, and it was a very. I mean, we were in our 30s. We had been together for so long. So
This is grandchild number 1 on your side of the family.
yes.
So.
And Jet was grandchild number, I think she's like 10 or 11 on Jerd's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was so nice because she was being welcomed by tons of cousins. And then it was like, what is the baby gonna look like? Because all of the children on his side of the family, they're the cutest things.
I honestly, I could not concern myself with what the baby would look like.
Yes, because once you're pregnant, and all moms say this, the only thing you care about is what?
The health.
The healthy baby. And everyone was like, oh, do you want a boy? Do you want a girl? And at that moment, you're like carrying this baby.
It's so
you're like,
hard to engage.
please let it
Yeah.
just be healthy.
Yep.
And that's it. That's really all that I
Yep.
cared about.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's so hard to engage in those giddy types of conversations about how's the baby gonna look? Do you think it's gonna look more like you?
Oh, I
What's
still
this
had those
and all
thoughts,
this stuff. Yeah, but I honestly, I just couldn't engage. It was hard to engage because like the second that those conversations would come up, the only thing my mind would kind of go back to is like the health of the child, you know, all that. So
yeah, and I think that as you mature, you realize like how sacred life is and how one little thing could really just, you know, have a different outcome.
And we've found that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was with Jet. With Beau, we started trying. When I got pregnant, I was still nursing Jet. A lot of people may think that's crazy. I nursed my girls for a very long time. I'll save that for another episode.
Oh yeah.
But breastfeeding is a whole nother, I had very long breastfeeding periods.
Yep.
So Jet was 2 years old. I stopped nursing her at the time. I came home and I couldn't find a funny way to tell him that I was pregnant. But I bought a jar of Italian sauce that says Prego on it. And I just went like this to him. And you were like, what? And you just like chuckled and you're like, you're pregnant? And I was like, yeah.
I'm glad I got it.
Yeah, and then we actually took pictures together that said, I am Prego. And we told Jet. And Jet was so excited. And she kept saying it was a sister. So for both of our pregnancies, we wanted to find out the sex of the baby. And you did, right? As well, like
Absolutely,
you wanted to. We both wanted to.
The idea being that babies come with enough surprises. So
true.
Yeah.
So we found out for Jet. We were elated. We were so happy. Everything looked good, and that was that. For Beau, I thought it was a boy, and so when they said it was the sex was female, I was taken aback, and I was also secretly happy. I have a sister. It's what I know, and you were very happy.
Yeah. I never wanted a son. I always wanted girls. Yeah.
Why?
Well, and you know this. I've always said that if I had a son that's anything like me, I'd strangle him.
Oh my God.
And we'd have problems.
Like
in this
I want to
house.
strangle you sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know how you deal with me.
No.
Seriously.
But a little boy would have been nice.
Yeah.
It's not off the table, maybe.
It's
We'll
off
see.
the table at this point.
Well, we'll see. Never, you never say never, Jared.
I didn't say never. I said
Yes.
it's off the table. Here's the table. Having a son is over here.
All right. So we found out. We were very, very happy.
So I think for both pregnancies, right? Like all of the for Jet's pregnancies, all the preliminary tests kind of went perfectly.
Yeah.
There were no red flags, no markers of any sort.
And again, I had wonderful pregnancies. The only thing, I was so nauseous. I had, with both girls, I had awful nausea and vomiting, morning sickness, all day sickness for the first 5 months for both of the girls. However, I was so happy to be pregnant that I just enjoyed all. I remember vomiting and then lifting up my hair and being like, we're good, we're good. I just wanted them so badly. I hear my mom saying the same thing when she was pregnant of me. But it was a beautiful experience. With Beau, we did have a little bit of a scare.
We had a couple scares.
Yes. Oh, you
scares.
Remember that? Yeah. I was thinking about that yesterday.
The first one was kind of a little bit less of a scare. That we found out she had a marker for
Down syndrome.
For Down syndrome.
When we found out the sex of Beau, we immediately were told to wait in the room because a doctor needed to come in and speak with us. The doctor came in and told us that Beau had a marker for Down syndrome. As a mother, as a nurse, 1,000 things were passing through my head. And this wonderful man right here literally took my hand, and I remember you said, it's gonna be fine either way. Yep. And of course, I'm over here laying on the bed with the tears streaming down because I already felt that, but it's just wonderful when two people feel the same, the same way.
The marker, it's just a marker. It doesn't mean that the child will have Downs.
Yeah.
But there are procedures to be more certain as to whether or not the child would be born with Downs.
Down syndrome,
Down syndrome. And that's an amniotic, right?
An amniocentesis.
An amniocentesis. Okay.
So what they do with an amniocentesis, they take a very long needle and they go in, they remove the fluid, and they test that fluid from the sac of the baby, where the baby's at. And with any procedure, there are risks of miscarrying the baby. It's a rather low risk, but there is like a percentage, and it can happen. And immediately, Jared looked to me, and he already knew what I wanted, I think, because you looked at me and you said, what would change? Because when you receive that news, you still have the option to terminate the pregnancy. And that termination was completely off the table.
Exactly. So there was no use
of doing
taking the risk of a miscarriage to find out for sure whether or not the baby had Downs, because if the baby had Down syndrome, we're having the baby with Down syndrome, and that's our kid, and that's so nothing would have changed.
That even makes me feel like and when he said that, I remember just feeling relief, supported, and just like I was like, oh man, I have a wonderful partner. So yeah, and when she was born, she did not have Downs, but Downs children are a blessing. We have a family member who is just the light of the party when we have gatherings. So so either way, it wouldn't matter.
Ethan is the best, man.
He is.
He put on a whole concert last time.
Oh my gosh, we have the most wonderful, beautiful cousin of mine, Ethan, and so we often get asked, how did you guys come up with the names? And I wish we had a cooler story, but here is how we decided to name our daughters Jet and Beau. We both wanted names that were short, right? We were like
monosyllabic.
Short, yes, one syllable names, Jet, Beau. Bam. I also didn't want you to look at the names and say, this is a traditional, such and such name. This is
the traditional boy name, the traditional girl name.
Yeah, which is fine. It was just not how we wanted to we didn't want to name our child a traditional name. We also didn't want to go too far end with like something that was never heard of as well. Yeah. And so we came up with Jet. I had heard Jet once before. I want to say like John Travolta. John Travolta loves to fly. I don't like flying at all. And I thought it was kind of comedic to name her Jet because I did not.
Sorry. I thought it was that John Travolta had a son named Jet, and you thought it was a cool name.
I did.
Gotcha.
But he named his son Jet because he actually flies planes. He loves Jet.
Got it.
And I was like the total antithesis antithesis, is that how you say it? Of that. So I was like, let's do it. I want her to love to travel. I love to travel. I'm just scared of planes. So I thought that's a perfect name for her, Jet.
Yeah.
And we came up with Marie. Her name is Jet Marie because that's a family name. My grandmother was Carmen Maria, and I was named Claudette Marie. And I thought it would be nice to pass the Marie down to Jet. So Jet Marie. We never had another name for her.
Oh yeah, there was no list, there was no debate. It's like when she said Jet, it was like that's the name.
her name.
That's definitely
Isn't that
the
so
name.
crazy?
Yeah.
We never had it. So for Beau now, I had a longer list because you know how you have like one sibling and they have a really good name?
You gotta follow up with something strong.
Good, yeah, and it was like,
come with something real strong.
Yeah, that was a little harder. Yeah. I've had a love for David Bowie for quite like almost all my life.
Yeah.
So David Bowie was someone that I just admired, loved. I loved the sound of his name, but I don't think we quite wanted to go with Bowie as like her legal name. So we settled on Beau. It was a unisex, I don't like to use that word, but unisex. It was also kind of gender fluid. You didn't know, and I loved that. So we went with Beau, one syllable name. Harper is her middle name, so she's Beau Harper. Adrian actually gave her that name, Harper. Adrian decided on Harper because Adrian's favorite book is To Kill a Mockingbird, and the author's name is Harper Lee. So that's how we came up with Jet and Beau. And they couldn't be more Jet and Beau than Jet and Beau.
yeah. When you guys said Beau Harper, I only had veto rights. I don't come up with anything.
That's not true.
So it was like, yes, Beau Harper.
Beau
Sounds
Harper
great.
and
Good
Jet
job,
Marie.
guys.
Thank you.
Excellent.
When thinking about like the pregnancy and my birthing plan, I had been working in labor and delivery for some odd years at that point, and I had worked with the most wonderful midwives, and I knew immediately I wanted a midwife. And because Jared had also heard all these stories, he was like, oh yeah, we're gonna opt for a midwife. We called them, this is so silly, but like amongst the L&D nurses, we're like, they are womb and vagina doctors. They specialize in that. They're super nurturing. I found that they were very nurturing, and I love the experience. And we had the most beautiful midwife named Georgia Rose.
She was amazing.
She was so amazing.
So nurturing.
Yeah. So we definitely wanted the midwife. When the time came to birth the girls.
To birth them?
To birth them. Is that how you said? That's not...
To give birth?
To give birth to Jet and Beau. I'll start with Jet. I opted to go to a birthing center that was located within a hospital.
Right.
I don't think they don't have, it's St. Luke's Roosevelt. Unfortunately, they do not have it anymore.
Yeah.
But I wish they had that around the city because everyone has a different idea of how they want to progress in labor. And I wanted to have a water birth. And it started out so wonderfully. I started my pains in the evening. My sister came over.
Did her makeup.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Retouched.
Adrian did a full beat on my face. Now I look back and I'm like, what the heck was I doing?
No, that's fine.
Jared. I was like, you know at those last days you kind of get a little swollen. And I had like
She didn't do it for the look. She didn't do it for the look. She did it to make you feel good.
And she did. She really, it was, I'm telling you, foundation, lashes, the whole thing, the whole shebang. The night that I started the evening that I started feeling contractions, I was like, all right, let me see where, because you can have Braxton Hicks, which are like,
false alarms.
False alarms, yeah. And they're normal. They're kind of revving your uterus up for the big day. And these were not Braxton Hicks. And I wanted to labor at home for majority of that,
because
of the beginning.
Sometimes moms come into the hospital way too early and they get sent back home.
Yes,
right.
They do. And especially for your first one, it's usually a longer labor.
Initial part,
Initial, exactly. Around 10 o'clock, I called my mom. I told my mom, she was already at the house. I told her, Ma, I think that you should start telling Papa Joe to get ready. Adrian started to beat my face, tons of makeup on my face. And then I started to go into this guys, I did hypnosis CDs, like music, and I started to listen to them, and I started to kind of like try to go into this dique trance of like, you know, this meditative state. And of course, I'm like, this is the worst pain in the world. Yeah. But I held it down, though. Not that that's like, you know, a badge of honor to hold pain down, but I was like, I was controlling myself. So
those meditative tapes started annoying
waning.
her.
They really did. They started to
Take
annoy
this shit off.
Yeah, that's exactly like,
my language.
Yeah. But so these two guys, so Adrian and Jared.
So sorry, Adrian came when?
Adrian came around the same time Mommy did, sometime in the evening, like around 9 p.m.
Gotcha.
She did my makeup. Then you guys were tired. It was going later on, closer to midnight, and my pain started to pick up. Like, it was very painful, and you guys were trying to be there, and you did a great job, but there was a point where it's exhausting, and it was the wee hours of the morning.
We needed to make sure we were rested
for
so
the
we could
active
be
part.
there for you. Yeah.
No, I actually agree, and I actually
told you. So we were sleeping, all three of us on the same bed.
All three of us in a full-size bed.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle, and I'm literally like, and you two are on the sides.
Flanking you.
Falling asleep, nodding out, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in between two dormelons, just knocked out.
Would you have preferred me to simulate your labor?
No, I looked at you guys and I was like, but I was happy that you guys were there. Adrian and you were knocked out. 2 a.m, I said, we got to call the midwife. We have to. So Papa Joe comes down and we all get into the car. I called my midwife. She was on her way to the birthing center within the hospital. And I remember being in the car and feeling every freaking pothole that we were hitting. We were crossing 5th Avenue on 57th Street.
I think Papa broke some red lights.
Do you know why? Because I literally started to grunt. And I said, I cannot have another contraction in this car. And I was like, I can't. I'm going to push this baby out. And we got to the hospital, and I was like having to push really, really badly. And I got there, and I was 9 centimeters. You have to get to 10. So I was I was very much in active labor.
That's a badge of honor for a labor and delivery nurse,
I felt good. It felt very, very good.
That she didn't go prematurely to the hospital.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Yes. They didn't have to send me back home. So I got there, and we immediately went into the birthing center. We went into the pool. You went into the pool with me, into this little jacuzzi, little tub, rather.
It's very earthy.
I loved it. I was so happy. And,
did we have incense?
We did not have incense.
Okay.
We did have music, though, and I had like this very Zen music on. And my labor, I started to want to push. And I remember my midwife, Georgia Rose, saying, do what your body's telling you to do. So I pushed, and I started to push, and I was 10 centimeters at that point. And oh my God, my whole family was outside, by the way, in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Okay, we are at the hospital. I am so excited. I look a little crazy. It is 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way. I've been at Claudette's house since earlier today, and she's having a baby. I'm so excited. I'm learning a lot because I didn't know that like the baby's heart beats super fast. You can hear it in the background, and we are here, so I'm going to take you on it. Jet, you're about to come. I'm like, Jet, I'm giving you the behind the scenes of your birth. This is very serious. We are all so excited for you to be born. Come on. That's your mama right there. She is about to give birth to you. She thought she felt a little sick to her stomach. Not so much. She's doing good. Grandma? That's your dad sending a notice to everyone. He's so excited. He's emailing everyone, telling them that you are on your way.
And I pushed for 4 hours.
Oof.
No pain medication, just because it's just, listen, either way, it's very, very painful. And I wanted it a few times, and I was just like, no, let me try to go with my, the plan. And
You're talking about an epidural.
of an epidural, yeah. And there's also IV, so no pain medication is what I wanted. But labor is quite painful, as you expect it to be. And it's so pain, no pain medication, it's intense.
I remember Adrian was like, psst, not me. If I'm giving birth, I'm walking in that hospital backwards. Like,
that's it, yeah, exactly. Give it to yeah. Which now I'm like, I think I would have done things a little differently. But so I pushed for a long time, and then my doctor checked me. Not my doctor, my midwife checked me, and there was meconium.
Yeah.
Meconium is when the baby is in distress and they poop inside of the fluid that they're in, the amniotic fluid. It's not good for the baby to ingest that, to aspirate that, because it's feces, not good. And that was concern. She told me, this is going to, now you're kind of opted out.
Yeah.
You can't, we can't have you deliver in the birthing center. So at this point
Which
now,
basically meant that you had to move from the birthing center up a couple floors to the actual hospital labor and delivery room.
and I love my midwife. My midwife was like, you can walk up the stairs. I was 10 centimeters. She's like, if you want to have this baby, there's nothing better than walking.
Yeah.
It's the natural, it's gravity. Like, let's get this baby out of here.
Right. So I just want to rewind. So you'd been pushing for 4 hours. You had not progressed really much past that 9 centimeters because you were about 10.
I was 10 centimeters. The baby did not descend. And
Right.
that was the reason we found meconium. We had to opt out. We walked to I actually walked up in the elevator. Walked to the elevator, went upstairs to the labor and delivery unit where they re-examined me and tried to figure out why had I been in 10 centimeters in full active labor and this baby had not come out. And that's when we found out that Jet was in a position that was super hard. So they call it asynclitic. A presenting part for a baby is this, right? This area. My daughter was here. This was the presenting part.
Oh, yeah.
So
Don't mess my hair up.
sorry. So that was the presenting part. It was not the position
Not
that you want
ideal.
to deliver a child in. And that is when, and I had a hard time with deciding to share this. And I don't know why there is so much shame in C-sections. And we were told that we would need a C-section.
Yep.
I struggled with this for so long. Like, I remember hearing the news. I remember feeling exhausted, tired, and just kind of like, I'm ready. Let's just get the baby out. But even afterwards, it's like, I felt like, and I'm just being honest, I felt like I was robbed of something. But I think it's because we always ask of ourselves, like we want everything to be perfect. And it's like, if you don't do this, if you don't have a vaginal delivery,
somehow it's a failure.
It's a failure,
Somehow
and
you're
my
less
body.
you're less than a woman.
Exactly.
I think what you're doing. I think what happens is you feel less than.
Yes.
In a sense, right?
Yeah.
Because all of the things that are quote supposed to happen, didn't all happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really messed with my head for even after. Like, I remember not telling anybody, and now I have these 2 girls here, and I'm like, they got here
exactly the way they were supposed to.
They were supposed to. And it's funny because the same thing happened with Beau.
Right.
They were in the same position. And for Beau, I had also pushed for 3 or 4 hours.
Ended up having a section
Another section again.
Yeah.
So what they call a VBAC is a vaginal, it's basically when you try a second time after having a C-section, you try again for a vaginal delivery.
Yeah.
They call it VBACing. And I tried again for Beau, and it just did not happen. And I ended up with a second section, which again messed with me again. And I was just like, why can't I have like this beautiful delivery experience that I wanted? But
it's all a miracle.
And that,
it's all a miracle.
Any way you reach motherhood is a miracle, and it's beautiful in its own story. So that is where the focus needs to be.
That's right.
For Beau, though, very, very quickly, my sister, Beau had a due date of September 17th. My sister was living in California and would come back and rub my, like any times that she was here for work, she would rub my belly and say, you have to come on September 5th and 6th. And I'd laugh and be like, girl, you're probably gonna miss this birth. And she's like, nope, I have a connection with this baby.
Those are the 2 days that she was scheduled to be in New York. So those are the only days that Beau was allowed to be born.
And she would
literally just say that, rub her belly and say that. Yeah.
And say, you have to be born, baby, on the 5th. And she would talk to her and say, Beau, you have to be born September 5th or September 6th. Well, don't you know, September 5th rolls around, and I start with the strongest contractions. And I call my sister, and I'm like, you are una bruja or something, like a witch or something, because this baby is coming. She goes, great. I'm actually in the airport. I'll be on my way, and I'll knock on your door, and we'll go to the hospital. Literally how it happened. Midnight comes, she knocks on the door and goes, you ready? And I was ready. I got to the hospital, and I was like 6-7 centimeters, and then Beau was born, and Adrian made it, and Beau was born on the 6th of September. How crazy is that?
So crazy. Almost as crazy as how, when Beau actually came out, my reaction.
I'm laughing because I think someone's laughing. My mom is cracking up because Jet came out looking like an Alexander. From her face, she actually looked like your brother a little bit, Steph.
So hold on. Let me tell this story.
Go.
Because I still feel the actual
shock and
awe of it. So during the section, if your head is over here and your body's over there, this whole part is, blocked so that no one can see what the doctor is doing when they're performing the surgery.
Yes.
And so I'm on this side with you holding your hand, and they take Beau out, and they take Beau away because they have to clean Beau and all that stuff.
Suction and all the stuff. Yeah.
And they said, Daddy, do you want to meet the baby? And I said, yeah, of course. So I walk to the other side, and it's a big room. And so I look here, I look there, I look on a table, and I see this little white baby. And then I say to the nurse, I said, where's the baby?
We're the only people in this operating room.
But it's a big room. I was like, maybe they have like 3 or 4 C-sections going at a time.
No.
I don't know. But I was like, look at this white baby, this little pale baby. I'm just like, where's my daughter?
Yeah.
So anyway, she was like, that is the baby. Beau has since gained a little bit more pigment.
A little bit more melanin in her,
And she gets a great tan now.
And she looks like Mama Felician, and a mix of Mama Felician and Adrian.
Yeah, so I have no doubt that she's my baby. In particular, because of her attitude.
Oh God, yeah. So the paleness tripped you up, and that was funny. And all the doctors were like, and I literally hear him saying this, and I'm like, that's your child right there, boy. And she did. She looked completely different from Jet.
It's funny, but because she looks so much like my mom.
She does.
Yeah. And she also looks like Adrian too.
She does.
But there's a very strong resemblance to my mom.
100%.
Yeah.
It's the lips.
Yeah.
But
those plumpy red lips.
Yes. So we have our 2 healthy babies, and I could not be happier. You could not be happier. And when during the following postpartum days, we were surrounded with lots of family, lots of love. It was an anxious time for me, but it was a beautiful time. And again, any way you reach motherhood, whether it's through vaginal delivery, C-section, adoption, surrogacy, it is all beautiful and it is wonderful. And yeah. Right?
Yep, absolutely.
So that is our birth story. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, we always love to answer questions. So if you want to ask any questions, or we didn't get to answer any questions, answer below in the comments. You can ask away, and yeah, we'll try to answer them. But thank you guys so much for joining us today with our birth stories. And yeah, what do you think, Jared?
I think great. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, and follow us on Instagram.
Yes, and guys, subscribe, because it actually tells you when there's a new video. So thank you again, and hope to see you next week on Claude & Co.